On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we review the Bookers 2021-03 Bardstown Batch. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. That intro took me about 20 times to do. I've shot 7 videos today, and for some dumb reason, I decided to try to shoot the Bookers Bardstown Batch for you guys as well today. So we're going to do our best. If I slur my words, just forgive me. For those of you new to the Whiskey Tornado, let me quickly explain our scoring system. We have 7 categories. We rank 0 to 1, 0.5 being average. Any score of 3 or better is bar worthy. Any score of 4 or better is bunker some, just in case the bourbon you love is no longer made. All right, with all that being said, let's get into our first handicapped category. It's presentation. The presentation on these Bookers bottles is fantastic. You get a nice box, you get a nice little card inside that tells you about the batch. The bottle's beautiful with the wax, the ribbon, the label's nice and old school. It's almost perfect in my opinion. We're gonna give the presentation a 0.9. All right, moving on to our second handicapped category, and that is availability. You used to be able to find these everywhere, but you know, Jim Beam has raised the prices, and even though they've raised the prices, it seems like they are becoming more allocated and harder to find. You just can't go into the store and find these anytime. So we're gonna have to give it less than average. We're giving the availability a 0.3. All right, moving on to the important stuff. Let's get into the nose on this, guys. Man, this is great. This is a good Bookers batch. I can tell you from the nose. Now, if you know me in the past, I've been passing on a lot of Bookers batches. In fact, I rarely even review them because it's the same thing. They're very peanut forward. They're $80 to $90, and for me, they just haven't been worth it. That being said, we recently had a Patreon meetup in Springfield. We were just outside of Louisville, which in fact is where Fred Noah was born, which is the whole point of the Bardstown Batch. So it's kind of fitting that we had our meetup there. Ed, one of our longtime Patreon members, brought this batch to the Patreon meetup for the bottle share. And I tasted it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's on our live stream. You can watch it. But what I loved about this batch is not only is it peanuts, which is a lot of what Bookers is, but it has a little bit of fruit characteristics to it, which I absolutely love, and this batch stood out to me. And I am getting those honey roasted peanuts, that cinnamon, that kind of sweet oak on the nose, but also a thread of strawberry, which I think is what takes this batch over the top for me. I absolutely love it. The nose is beautiful. We're going to give the nose a 0.7. All right, moving on to the palate. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to Ed, who is the biggest Bookers fan I know. First sip. I think this is just a little over 6 years. You're talking about that 120 proof. It's got those peanut notes that you know, and if you love Bookers, you love those honey roasted peanuts. But again, what I got on the nose is carrying through on the palate. There is a sweet, like strawberry thread through that nuttiness that I absolutely love. There's also that sweet oak, cinnamon. It's really gorgeous. I absolutely love the palate on this. I'm going to take another sip, but the finish is going forever, so I can't take another sip yet. This is one of those bourbons that if you sit down with and you pour a couple ounces, it's going to take you 30 minutes to get through it. This Bookers batch to me, this 2021-03 Bardstown batch is not quite as spiky as past batches. It's a little more rounded to me, a little more cohesive, feels more put together. This has a better balance of those peanut, honey, and fruit notes, and those like baking spice notes. It's just more balanced to me. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I have not liked a couple, you know, the last year of Booker's batches have been just okay to me, but not worth it. This is a batch that I actually sought out. I had to find this one after Ed shared it with us. So, all right, second sip. Oh man, God, second sip was better than the first. That's just a gorgeous bourbon. There aren't many 6-year bourbons you're going to taste that taste better than that. Really well-rounded, good amount of sweetness, good amount of spice. Again, you get that honey roasted peanut, the strawberry notes, the oak, the cinnamon. Man, that is gorgeous. Let me take one more sip here. I always like to take 3. Same, just gorgeous. Great fruit sweetness with those roasted peanuts and baking spices. Just an awesome bourbon. Well done, Bookers. Finally, you have me. It's taken a while. We're gonna give the palate on this a 0.8. It is really fantastic. All right, moving on to the body. You know, you guys are talking about a little over 120 proof. It's Bookers. It's fantastic. It's rich. It's creamy. Sticks to all sides of your palate. Hangs with you for a while. We're gonna give the body a 0.7. All right, moving on to the finish. Golly, it's so good. Finally, I agree with Ed on something. The finish is fantastic. It goes forever. You don't want to take a sip right away. You want to let it settle. But it's all those baking spices. I can't even tell you which one. It's just you're getting baking spices. I know that's generic note. But it's cinnamon, baking spices, those honey roasted peanuts, and it goes forever. We're going to give the finish a 0.8. It's long, way longer than average. All right, moving on to value. This is the category that kind of hurts Bookers, in my opinion, when you consider that Jim Beam also sells Knob Creek. And it sells Knob Creek 10-year for, $50, $60. So you're getting more age. You're getting a little less proof in Knob Creek, but you're getting a lot of the same flavor profile. And in my opinion, I haven't had as many bad Knob Creeks as I've had bad Bookers batches. So Bookers batches, you're talking now, the price on Bookers is $80 to $90. You're talking a six and a half year bourbon versus a Knob Creek for 60 store picks that are around 10 years old. And a lot less risk in a Knob Creek than a Bookers. So in general, the value is going to be low on Bookers. You do get a nice pretty wood box and a little bit better presentation, and you don't have to deal with the horrible wax that's on the Knob Creek bottles. But it's going to be less than average because you're talking a 6.5 year bourbon and a lot more risk involved. I've never really had a bad Knob Creek. I've had a lot of Bookers batches that I wasn't crazy about. So we're going to give the value a 0.3. All right, guys, that brings our overall score for Bookers, the 2021-03 Bardstown Batch, to a 4.0, making it bunker worthy. We rated a Booker's batch bunker worthy. I'm so excited, especially for Ed. I know he's wanted a Booker's batch to hit that bunker worthy category. This batch is fantastic. I absolutely love it. In fact, it's going in our Bourbon of the Year category. It's really good. I'm in love with it. If you guys don't know, December 10th, we are doing a live stream on this channel, and I always crowdsource our Bourbon of the Year. So we do a Bourbon of the Year that is available and that I found on the shelf at MSRP, and I send those to our Patreon members, and they get to taste it blind, and we vote on our Bourbon of the Year. That is coming up December 10th, so tune in Friday at 8 p.m. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please turn on the bell notifications. That way you'll know when we go live, and you can watch us pick our Bourbon of the Year this year, and this Booker's batch is going to be in it. All right, guys, hope this helps you decide what to buy and what to leave on the shelves. Until next time, cheers and happy holidays.